Hello, social workers, mental health professionals, and change agents. Welcome to another episode of the Social Work Brands Podcast. I'm your host, Bash Moreno. Saludos a todos. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast. I appreciate all the love and support. And yet to, as some of you may know, I'm a certified financial social worker. Yes, that's a real thing. Yes, that's a real certification that's recognized by the National Association of Social Workers. So you could definitely get that certification. And we need to be talking about money and getting paid our worth, and especially this wild 2025 because Orange Man in the White House doing all kind of crazy things. Him and his henchmen are. Got us
Doing too
all
much.
jacked up.
Way too much. I need to stop.
I take the Whoopi Goldberg view approach and don't try to say his name. So like call him Orange Man or
we all know
the killer in chief and like
Cheeto,
Cheeto,
Taco.
Taco. Heart disease walking, dead man walking.
I hope. When? Let me know when.
But I always tell people, and like YouTube can cancel me with this, but it got to be him, Pence, and Johnson. It got to be the three of them together.
Everybody, just go home. Just retire. You don't need money. You're good. I promise.
It's been a hot mess, but we still got to focus on having that money conversation as we wind down to this year that's been booming fast. I swear, time is now. I feel like time is now a Democrat because this year just flew by. Like we need this guy out of office. So
yeah,
let's speed this year up.
Time is a Democrat. It's not doing what it's supposed to do right now.
So and I also like to touch on the podcast, the beauty of and the importance of networking, and I met this talented person at FinCon last year in Atlanta, and we had a blast. We'll be in Portland for FinCon again as a pretty much a financial creator conference. I encourage anybody, even if you're not in finances but want to know about better your finances, definitely go and learn and network and all the things. Charly Stoever, how you doing?
I'm good. Your voice is so soothing, by the way. I just want to like curl up in bed and go to sleep till the next administration wakes me up.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I always get told I got that radio voice.
Yes, I feel like I'm like on Smooth Jazz 98. It's 1995. I can see the Space Needle.
It sounds even better when I get sick, so the voice sounds deeper. Got that Barry White voice.
Me too. I like it when I'm sick as well. I don't need the testosterone shots when I'm sick. Great.
So yes, we'll talk about all things money and how people could better their finances to end the year strong and start the foundation for 2026. And I can't believe it's saying 2026 already, but here we are. So for those who don't know who you are, just tell people about yourself.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Charly Stoever. I'm a non-binary Latinx money coach helping LGBT, BIPOC, neurospicy, marginalized folks crush their debt and build a six-figure retirement without needing a six-figure salary. As somebody myself who was formerly undocumented, I worked in finance, I worked as a stockbroker. But I quit my 45K stockbroker job 5 years ago when COVID hit to start my business. And I've already built a 200K net worth as somebody who's never made more than 45K. So I'm really passionate about helping people realize that they don't need to make more money, they just need to give every dollar a direction and be smarter with their money, whether that's keeping expenses low, like myself. I'm a full-time international pet sitter. I haven't paid rent in over a year. As somebody who's estranged from family, I unfortunately can't just move in with my parents. So the next move is to like move into all these people's houses and pet sit for them around the world, from Alaska to Paris, currently pet sitting in Portland right now. So yeah, keeping expenses low, increasing your income, and just enjoying your life without waiting to retire, because we never know how long we have left on this planet. So thanks for having me.
No, absolutely. How is life working as a stockbroker?
Oh, I'm glad I did it. It was one of those things I did, one of the many things I did in my 20s that I'm like, thank God I did that, but I would never do it again. So much learning and growth and being underpaid and exploited in my 20s, but I'm so happy that I did all those things. And yeah, working as a stockbroker was not fun. I was basically in a glorified call center in Indiana, doing a lot of password resets calls and answering the phone to mostly rich white people, asking how the stock market was doing or what I thought about the stock market, or if for any tips and tricks, and buying them more Apple stock. And I was on track to become a financial advisor because I wanted to help people with their money. And then I quickly realized that these people were fine. They did not need my help. It was the people that would call who were like 50, 60 years old, who were sitting on like just 30K of cash and retirement savings in an IRA, thinking that it was supposed to have been growing this whole time, but it wasn't. And nobody told them they should have been investing it this whole time, that it was up to them to invest it. Just magically putting your money in a retirement account is not going to do anything. If anything, it can make your money do worse than just sitting in cash and lose value to inflation. So it was those conversations that I was like, oh no, I need to quit this job and use everything I learned to teach our community about these things that our parents didn't teach us, especially growing up first gen. Like my parents didn't teach me about investing or credit cards. It took a lot of me learning these things on my own and dropping the debit cards and actually paying annual fees for credit cards to get me into the airport lounges and do all these firsts that I help a lot of my clients and just all of our community do these things first.
Yeah, that's important, and you strike something very. So I know, like many of us who work a 9 to 5, like, we start these jobs and we get these benefits, and half the stuff we don't even know what it is, especially a lot of social work 9 to 5 jobs, nonprofits. They've done a better job offering a 403B, but they don't teach you what that is, or how much money you should be like taking out of your check to put it in, like none of that stuff. And it's like, if you don't know that information, like, all right, you take maybe a percentage or whatever out of my check, and like not really out of sight, out of mind, or like whatever. It's like what can like somebody do like to really kind of hone in on like a benefits like a 403B?
Don't be afraid to ask HR. It's their job to tell you about the benefits and what benefits you have. It is literally their job to explain these things to you. And I feel like a lot of people don't want to disturb others, especially Latinos. We want to be humble and don't want to take up space. We don't want to be a burden, but it's like, I'm like, that is literally their job. They're sitting on their asses anyway, waiting for the phone to ring. So I might as well call them to ask like, what your benefits are. And I think for myself, as somebody who was doing all the AmeriCorps, I did the Peace Corps, I was making $300 a month, just extremely underpaid in my early 20s. So that I think that by the time I was 29, I had my first official job with like a real 401k match that I was fully vested in. I wasted no time. I was like, I need to know what these benefits are and educate myself and make up for all the lost time I didn't have these benefits, and that all the lost time I wasn't investing. Because all of us should, when we were born, our parents should have opened up investment accounts for us, but they didn't know, and they didn't. So that's why it was urgent for me to just make up for lost time as only a 29-year-old, which a lot of people would say, oh, you were so young. But it's like, yeah, I still could have missed out on 29 years of growth in the stock market. So learning about HSAs, you can ask Google or surround yourself with other people in the space who normalize talking about these things too. That's huge. Finding friends who aren't scared talking about money, because your family might not be on board. But stop trying to like get your family on board all the time unless they want to, and find other people in spaces, like go to FinCon, go to a personal finance conference, go to like Latinx and finance meetups, go to entrepreneur spaces, and immerse yourself around other people who normalize these things. Choose FI has a lot of chapters all around. I went to Choose FI meetups in Seattle. where people just nerd out and talk about these things instead of just sitting around being scared of them and not wanting to look greedy for talking about money, because there's nothing wrong with you wanting to talk about money, because if not, you're going to work your ass off forever, and that is not something I want. I want to get paid the most to do the least.
I think that's a lot of us in the space, especially you mentioned since COVID, a lot of people are burnt out and are stretched to really thin, and it's like I definitely want to get paid without taxing my body or doing like all the things to racking my brain how to make some money and get some time back in my life to do nothing if I want to do nothing or play video games all day.
Yeah.
Like now you mentioned that conference. What exactly is that? Like what is that organization? How can people get involved with that if they want to?
Oh, well, FinCon is the conference that you and I met at in Atlanta. It's just a personal finance conference that I honestly took way too long to attend. I waited until I was 4 years into owning my business because I thought it was just going to be a lot of condescending white men that I escaped the 9 to 5. I was like, I don't need to be around that. I'm good. I left my job for all this. But I had some friends, like a money coach, Bianca in Seattle, and Deborah from B Financial Money Coaching, B Money Coaching, had dinner with them in Seattle. And Bianca, my friend, was like, it's not hella pale, hella stale. Yes, there's a lot of like white men and stuff, but we find each other. And we quickly did. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, here all my online Latino friends are people that I know of in person to connect with. So sometimes it does take that. You need a conference that is once a year and take advantage. Like I'm spreading the word out here in Portland because people don't know about it. I went to like a queer realtors meetup and nobody knew about it. I was shocked. I was like, this is the place to be, especially since it's in Portland when all these conferences are always in the East Coast. Atlanta, New Orleans. So aprovecha si está cerca a ti. I'm just like, don't waste time, y'all. I don't know when it's going to be in the Pacific Northwest next time. But Choose FI is another. You can find Choose Financial Independence. These are Facebook groups with chapters all over major cities. Like I said, I went to the ones in Seattle and they were just meetups. A lot of people who were like in their 40s, 50s who realized how quickly they were able to retire early, and they were already stepping into the identity work of who am I? What do I want to do now that I don't have to depend on my paycheck? Can I move abroad or start my business or take a sabbatical, even move my kids to Italy for a few months and talk about those conversations. So for me, it was really cool to see people just like 10 or 15 years older than me already living the life that I'm being disciplined for. I'm still cooking my lentils and rice, y'all. Like I walk to the grocery store. I don't have a car. I've made certain sacrifices so that I can accelerate this. So I don't have to cook. One day I want to hire a personal chef and not cook a single dang thing ever again. But it's cool to be in those spaces where you can see people, you see the light at the end of the tunnel. Because sometimes when you're cooking the arroz con lentejas, you're like, God damn it, again. Like, but then when I go to those groups, I'm like, oh, it's because I do this that I can meet other people like me, or I can afford a 3-month fully funded sabbatical in Europe. Like I just took myself on without having to stay in dorms and hostels and just like Airbnbs and pet sit. So yeah, I think in-person connection is really important.
No, yeah, absolutely, and that's why I try to stress to folks in our social work community, like, yeah, you got to go to these conferences that or spaces that we're not normally in to normalize. Like, yes, we do way more than remove kids from home. We do way more than like do individual therapy and write progress notes and be doing treatment plans and school social work and all the things that people think that we normally do, which we do, and a lot of folks are great at doing those type of stuff and want to do that stuff. But there's way more out there, and looking at folks and still talking to you, talking to other folks in the group chat, and it was like, oh snap, like kind of like potential, like, all right, I just gotta like, all I need is one opportunity and boom, let's go make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, social work is huge, and finances are a huge stressor for so many people. So I love that you talk specifically about money in this space, because I know social workers are overworked and underpaid, just like I was as a teacher. Teachers are like kind of like social workers as well too. So
Yes.
I get it. And I was able to do it in my 20s, but I was like, this is not sustainable. So I had to pivot, unfortunately. I tried liking to teach because my teachers changed my life. And I grew up in Moses Lake, Washington, which is a tiny town of 15,000 people, where to me growing up, Costco, any city with a Costco was a big city. And so the teachers were rich. The teachers in my town had 2-story houses. I was like, damn, I want to be a teacher. I want to be rich. And then I quickly moved to cities and was like, oh, teachers are the poor people in the cities. Got it.
That no, it's yeah, teachers are definitely beyond underpaid, just like many social workers are. It's a lot. How do you got into like pet sitting and traveling abroad like you do?
Well, I just realized that I don't do well living with roommates. I'm neurodivergent. I'm autistic. I like having my routines. I'm really sensitive to noise. And I've tended to just have crazy roommates that like partying or smoking weed and want to like start their day when I'm ending my day. But I also realized when COVID hit, I was suicidal and depressed. I had the bougie ass apartment when I was a stockbroker, and I wanted to kill myself, honestly. Sorry, trigger warning, but I feel like a lot of us did in COVID. But I think as a single person, I didn't have a support system, and I was estranged from family. So I really felt like no one cared about me. And so I was like, I'm not into this whole living alone thing for the glorified, like, oh, I've made it, I'm adulting now. It was not for me. It almost killed me. So I was like, how can I still have like living beings that help my mental health, but not have to deal with crazy roommates that are up till 2 a.m. that I have to ask to shut up because I'm trying to sleep. And so that's how I decided to start just pet sitting full time, as a way to save tens of thousands of dollars in rent at this point throughout my life, and in Airbnbs. It's just a no-brainer. As somebody who isn't really tied down, I'm single, I don't have pets. I rehomed a cat that I loved so much, who I adopted from Thailand. I did a podcast episode on the grief of rehoming your pet on my Unicorn Millionaire podcast. That's one of my most listened to episodes, because I love life on the road. And she was also an outdoor cat. We were both the same. She was like, nah, I'm trying to get out here in these streets, see you at night for dinner. And I was like, we're the same thing. So I love animals, and having it helps my mental health. I love waking up and having to walk the dog, and the dog being happy to see me, and having like the routine that is within my life that is pretty unstructured. It's not for everybody. I live out of a big suitcase that weighs 40. Trying to get under the 50-pound limit. Right now is 44. I'm like, damn, I'm good. A big suitcase and a backpack. And I've been doing this for over a year now. And I'm not tired of it, because I just know I'm saving so much money that I can invest in retirement and my business instead, especially as a low income earner. For me, it's reducing the biggest expense, which is rent right now. So that's why it's working for me. And I just want to normalize that. Building wealth looks different for everybody. Not everybody is able to do what I do, but some people are able to move in with their parents for a little bit. I'm like, if you can do that and have your mental health and have a good relationship with your parents, even just a few months to save on rent, do it. There's no shame around it.
Not yet. Well, thank you for sharing something so personal. I know COVID has hit hard for a lot of folks. Myself included. And what so I'm what was that turning point of like, I'm going to do this and start doing that pet sitting from what you just said to, okay, did somebody help you, or you just within yourself dug deep within yourself and decided to do what you're doing now?
Well, I didn't pet sit immediately after quitting my job. When I quit my job, I moved to Playa del Carmen because I got a full ride to an MBA program. I was like, I just know I need to get out of Indiana. I need to leave this job. It is not good for my mental health. But I learned a lot. I finally learned about what I wanted to write my grad school essay on, as somebody who was like, well, I should just go to grad school because that's the next step, because this college degree isn't paying the bills. It wasn't worth it. And then I wrote on like how fucked up it was that I was excited for the stock market to crash as a 45K earner. I was thrilled that the stock market was crashing so I could buy stock for cheap. But that I wanted to help people understand how to be excited when and if the stock market crashes, because it will, it always has and always will, period. and I wanted to help people. So then I got into grad school. And since I did the Peace Corps and did my time and suffered, they gave me a full ride to this MBA program. And I was like, the rent out here is ghetto. I'm not going to be making money as a grad student. So that's why I moved to Playa del Carmen to Mexico, where rent by the beach was like $400 a month. And then I quickly realized my MBA wasn't going to help me with my business. And then I hired a business coach, sold $3,000 of Tesla stock to pay $3K for her coaching. And then I did the work and made $7K after just a month. And that showed myself that, oh, maybe I can work for myself. So a year and a half later, after getting my MBA, I realized I don't want to work for anybody. Like, I'm just going to keep working for myself. But living in Mexico with rent so cheap, I wasn't like, oh, how can I avoid this expense and pet sit? No, I was chilling. I went to Southeast Asia for 7 months. Not at one point was I like, oh, I need to not pay $5 for this hostel. No, but it's more of like, how can I just offset this cost as somebody who doesn't currently have a pet when I'm in expensive places like America or Europe? And I moved back to Seattle last year for my health issues. To live in somewhere with seasons, because the heat living in Thailand and Mexico was not good for my pre-diabetes and hypothyroidism and eczema, all these chronic health issues. So I decided, okay, let me move back to the US somewhere with seasons. And Seattle is not cheap. And I started trying to apartment hunt and stuff, but I was like, let me see if anybody needs a pet sitter out here. And then I ended up just doing it full time. And in between pet sits, I would go skiing. That's what I do. In between pet sits, I'll just take a staycation or vacation or stay with friends anyway. So that, again, that's what works for me right now. It doesn't work for everybody, but I just want to inspire other people to know like how I built my net worth. It's very intentional through everything I do every day.
That's a good tidbit of the importance of just being intentional, whatever that looks like for you. Like we said, always stress personal finance, your own personal finance. You could be cousins, brothers, sisters, like you all, it doesn't matter. Your own personal finance is your own personal finance journey. And I mean, y'all can own a business together or something, but whatever, like your own personal finance is your own journey. And everybody's journey it is different. So just gotta just do what you need to do. Whatever works for you works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that for you. And I've been following you. I've been seeing like you're all these different countries, especially in Europe and back home. And you're right about America. The entire country is extremely expensive for no reason at all.
Yeah, especially as somebody who does not have anybody to split the rent with. I'm like, no, not worth it. Y'all got to pay me to be here.
And especially since we joked around about Orange Man, but definitely seen a lot of stuff online about interested in moving out the country. Like so I've done a couple webinars just to kind of see what the information is out there and if it's really doable. And like I know some of the stuff I may have to do, these DNA tests and kind of.
Oh yeah, to get the Spanish citizenship. Colonizer, give me my citizenship so I can have healthcare now. Thanks. Yup. Yeah, and I just want to say I have done that thing. I have moved abroad for the past over 10 years now, and I highly recommend it, but I will say it does not solve your problems. It's not going to heal everything. Like I just went to Europe for 3 months thinking that I just need to get away from the shit show, this administration, this country and everything. And it was a good trip in terms of just knocking out 9 countries in 3 months, doing the most, going to Milan, Lake Como, seeing Beyonce in Paris. It was awesome on paper, but I was lonely. I was very lonely. I was moving around a lot and I didn't bother creating community or friends because I was like, I'm leaving in a week anyway. Why bother going out? And that also affected my mental health a lot. So at the end of it, when I was about to leave Europe, I stayed 2 weeks in Brussels and I was like, I need to go to like a lesbian bar and just meet people. And then I started seeing the same people over and over again. And I realized how essential community is for my mental health. So that's why now that I'm back in Portland, I'm out seeing my friends. I'm so grateful for them, but I'm also trying to meet more and more friends, more people, because I don't have a support system. I don't have like kids. I don't have a partner with me. So it's important for me to create and build my community wherever I am, which can be a struggle for a lot of people, especially if you move to a country where you don't speak the language. You do need to find other expats, but that also is like you're just creating your own little America abroad too, which I did that when I was living in Puerto Vallarta. I spoke English like just as much as I did in America, and then when I went to Mexico City, I was like, oh shit, people here have jobs, they like wear pants, and I'm speaking way more in Spanish than in Puerto Vallarta. So but yeah, it has been good for my mental health to expand my worldview, to realize how ghetto the US is and overpriced is when I can just go get my teeth cleaned for $10 in Mexico and not have to worry about insurance. And medical tourism is a thing. Like I've never had travel insurance because I just pay out of pocket abroad. It's always cheaper. So I recommend it, but don't expect it to heal you completely or solve all your problems or to heal the administration that you've escaped from.
No, that's definitely true. What's been the most expensive country you've been in?
America, it is overpriced for what you get. Are you kidding me?
Well, in terms of Europe,
Okay.
I know America's.
I'm like, this is ghetto. Every time I come back, I'm like, damn, I'm really just here for my friends and my community. That's it.
That's how I feel like when I go back home to New York. It's like why as soon as I see like the skyline, I'm still in Jersey driving, and as soon as I see the skyline, I'm counting down like when I'm going back to Delaware. even though Delaware 2025 is gone ghetto like real quick.
Yeah, damn.
These white folks acting a damn fool.
Oh my God. Delaware's on the map now. In terms of expensive European countries, I think that places like, oh yeah, Ireland. I was like, why is it so expensive here? It's just a cute little island with sheep. What? That was expensive. The UK was expensive. Just like I pet sat for a week in a town like near Oxford, like 40 minutes outside of London. And just a one-way train ride costs like $50. I was like, how are these people saving money commuting? Like, what? Yeah, UK. Ireland, Northern Ireland was surprisingly slightly cheaper than Ireland, but it was fine. It surprised me, but that's the good thing about budgeting. And countries can surprise you with how expensive they are, but you still have the money. And I thought I'd be able to get booked out pet sitting because in the US, I'm booked out back to back, but in Europe, there's a lot more competition because you got all the Australians wanting to have their hot girl Italian summer and wanting to pet sit too. And so, and it felt like I was interviewing for Harvard sometimes. I was interviewing to pet sit a cat in Paris, and I had to step my game up. I had to be like, I love animals. I have been watching them for 10 years. I've done all this experience. I was like, this is intense. So I did spend more money on Airbnbs and things like that. And as somebody with chronic health issues, it's important for me to stay in a place that has a kitchen. So not much hotels. I need to cook my meals, my healthy meals, and plan that out too. So there's a lot that goes into it as somebody with chronic health issues and budgeting for that.
And I think that's something that, I spend a lot of time with my business, educating folks on like, someone is in the sandwich generation myself, and having a parent who's autoimmune compromised, and like I got to drive like half hour, 45 minutes to find something that us Latinos can actually eat instead of just being one of the struggles of living in a rural town. You're not gonna mainly white folks that you're not gonna find. Not gonna find like the yuca and all these different things. And,
gotta freeze it all.
Yeah, or just buy the freezer bags that are already cut up and stuff like that. And even still, you got to drive a while to try to find that.
Who sells Goya and yuca out here?
And I'm like, damn, I got to drive a half hour. Like, this is freaking insane. But it's, stuff like that, and like the health conditions, and budgeting that, and like life throws curveballs at you, so you gotta be prepared to have the conversations, and the estate planning, and well, just all the things, and having a life insurance policy, and make sure life insurance policy, you get more bang for your buck because people can have life insurance policy, but like $10,000 that doesn't even cover like
The funeral.
the few in the hood.
Yeah, right.
Like in the hood, like won't even cover that. Like I remember my uncle passed away. It was like smack in the hood and spent like over 8,000. Like,
My
but
God.
for this crappy funeral
With the
like,
plastic chairs and everything.
crazy.
It's wild. Yeah. Life is expensive. You gotta be prepared, and it's only going to get more expensive. I think people are in denial and they're like, is this going to get better? When will things get cheaper? I'm like, things have never ever gotten cheaper. They only get more expensive, but the rate at which that happens fluctuates. But yeah, that's why we have to invest and not just hoard cash bajo el colchón. You have to have your cash in a high yield savings account, dump Wells Fargo, Bank of America, these basics that I still see a lot of people, they don't do. People ask me all the time, they're like, Charly, do you think there's too many money coaches out here? I'm like, no, because these bitches still have their checking in a basic ass Wells Fargo checking account or Bank of America. Nope, there's no shortage of money coaches.
and there and there's so many new high yield savings account banks, popping up all the time. I've seen so many different ones that people like Investopedia like recommends, and it's like I never heard of this bank. Then I share the information to folks, and like the first thing is like, I never heard of this bank. Is this bank good? I'm like, do your research. Like you got a reputable organization like Investopedia, and like Yahoo Finance that recommend stuff. You can just you got to put your money in definitely in a high yield savings account, and pray that the rates don't get cut.
Yeah, or if they do, at least your money's still in a high yield savings versus checking. Because some people have been like, well, should I bother? Because rates are going to get lower. I'm like, you're still going to be earning so much more whether rates are cut to 2% than in your crappy Bank of America Platinum that pays 0.01.
Exactly.
Like, please.
That's true. And especially with all these banks that you mentioned the stock market crash, and all these banks that got the bailouts around the same time frame, and like a lot of people are anti banks, which causes like, especially with us in our community, just like the mistrust with these institutions which leads to people putting their money in the mattress, or still with the shoebox, or any type of furniture you have in the house. Like I know my dad got some money stashed in a couple of different spots. I'm like, let me put it in my high yield savings account, or just like I open up another account and just
let me put it in the urn with grandma's ashes.
He's like, no, I'm good. I was like, okay, whatever. but no, we laugh about it, but it's a real thing with a lot of folks, and that comes with that education. And like I said earlier, there's never going to be not enough financial educators and the opportunity for us in social work to use our background and have these money conversations, not only for ourselves, but our clients, to deal with their financial traumas and family histories, and giving like our family members grace. Like, yeah, they didn't teach us, but now we got to learn for ourselves and teach our family members too.
Yeah.
So besides FinCon, what else you got going on?
That's it. That has been dominating. That is my Roman Empire, is FinCon. That's all I have to look forward to this year. I'm tired of traveling. I did the mostest. I was like the gay Mary Poppins, just flying around the world to pet sit, and I'm tired. So yeah, FinCon. And I don't know. I haven't been really looking at any more conferences. I wish I had seen Bad Bunny. But I'm tired.
Yeah, I was like, because I went to Puerto Rico and I booked my trip, and it was like damn, why I ain't performing in June? That would have been perfect. Just taking
Oh,
the whole family to
right.
go see him. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going back. I went once. I'm not going back to go see him. Whatever.
I'm like, can he just extend his residency forever? Like Adele in Vegas, just stay there and keep singing. Thanks.
um. So what has we talked about 2026. What can like people who are never invested, like these struggling, how can people start off, like finish 2025 strong and start our foundation for 2026 in terms of their finances?
I would say just get real with the expenses and how much money you're spending, because I think some people do have a spending problem, but I also talk with a lot of people who think they have a spending problem. But when you look at the credit card statements, when we look together, I'm like, you're fine. You just need to change your thoughts around your spending and be more intentional about it. Because some people will spend money for the dopamine hit because they feel lonely or they feel unfulfilled or they feel exhausted. So I think that people need to question why they're spending so much money on what, for physical things or for takeout, and just trying to be more efficient with your money. Like myself, I travel with all my things in my suitcase. So I don't have time to buy clothes that I won't wear. If I don't wear something in 3 months, I donate it and I toss it. Um, and I'm very intentional with every piece of clothing that I buy. That has to be like a 10 for me to want to keep lugging it around the world with me. So I think that people just need to be more intentional with their spending and realize the shame and where that comes from. A lot of people don't understand that the way their parents think about money is how they think about money. So I have clients whose dad was the baller, the spender, and then would have 30K in tax debt one month. And the mom was always the saver, being disciplined, and the consistency in the family, which is a trend I see a lot. The men are usually the balls to the wall spender because they know they have wife at home cooking, cleaning, not spending too much, like watching the funds and things like that. So I think if you grew up with an unpredictable financial situation, that's going to continue happening to you and the work doesn't end. Like I grew up with parents who viewed money in similar yet different ways. And it's also wild how I treat money. I was always the saver because I remember my dad asked me to lend him money that he gave me when I was like 5. It was like 10 or 20 bucks. But from that moment, I was like, oh shit, this money thing is unpredictable. And the grownups get scared by it and they get stressed out. So I'm going to save the money and save my family. Damn, save. Did it work? No. Meanwhile, my brother was the spend the money. So it's interesting to see how different your financial mindset might be from based off of like your gender. Are you the eldest or youngest in your family too? I have a lot of clients who are the eldest Latina daughters who are like the third parent and who have to raise their parents and their siblings too. So there's a lot of psychology behind. It's more than just like, oh, I have a spending problem. I think people need to take time to think about the role their parents played, how they talked about money or didn't talk about money directly impacts them. And if they want help on their mindset, like talk to a financial expert. I do a lot of money therapy before even looking at people's investment accounts. I always want to see, how did your parents talk about money? What's your background? Are you immigrant, child of immigrants? Because all that comes with trauma. And like you said, fear of financial institutions. A lot of immigrants fear financial institutions because rightfully so, different governments have collapsed abroad in Latin America because of the CIA, because the US literally interfered in these affairs, in these governments. So that's why immigrants take the fear of financial institutions with them to the US, but that only hurts us here. So I think, being conscious of your spending, intentional, and budgeting and increasing your income. As social workers need to, ideally you do both, decrease your expenses and increase your income. But that is really how you retire early, and you invest the difference, you invest the rest. I think a lot of people think that when they have money left over, that's just like play money. And it's like, no, unless you have a house that you own outright with no mortgage and you have a fully funded 30K a year, at least in both your 403B, 401K, and your IRA, and you have a 6 to 12 month emergency fund, and you're investing in a brokerage account, you do not have extra play money. I don't even see myself as having play money. I haven't maxed out my solo 401K. yet. I've only put in 6K so far this year. So if I make that extra money, then the goal is to hit the 23K in that. So I think people need to know the limits of these accounts and where to put all their money so that they don't have this fake idea of having like extra or free money. And if you have student loan debt or any debt, you do not have extra money. You have negative money, that you have like a negative net worth. I think that's something I've seen, which only benefits lenders. Student loan companies love that people think they have like extra money to send to their friends and family when they're buried in 50K or 100K in student loan debt. And it's like, you owe money. You don't have extra money. But don't be overwhelmed by it. Even if you put $1 or $20 toward that debt, that is still going to build the momentum for you to be able to crush that debt. So there's a lot of intentionality that people, they should not be waiting till December to deal with. They can start dealing with this now, so they're not stressed about finances come holidays or when the next year rolls around.
Gotcha. That's good. Definitely good tidbits about that. You mentioned your podcast. Talk a little bit about that as we wind down.
Yeah, so I have a podcast called Unicorn Millionaire, and I've released about 126 episodes. I love doing solo casts on debt payoff, investing, running a business, pet sitting internationally, and I love having guests on. At the time of this recording, I just had an amazing guest, Gina Moreno, to talk about how she quit her 6-figure job in tech to start her own business and talk about visibility, which is huge. When you start a business, I feel like a lot of people want to retire early and have a business that fulfills them, but visibility is huge. You got to put your face out there. If you have an internet facing business, you got to put your face out there and get real comfortable with that and comfortable with yourself. So yeah, that episode's going to be episode 126. And I have a blog called Unicorn Millionaire. And I also have an email list called Crush That Retire Early. Formerly, it was called the Roth Freak emails. We're still Roth Freaks out here. And you can find me at unicornmillionaire.com or at Traveler Charly on Instagram. That's Traveler Charly with a Y.
Awesome. Great stuff. I'll see you in Portland.
Yeah, see you soon. Thanks for having me. Great podcast
Absolutely.
voice.
Take care.
Thanks.